Hi, Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com here at Jenkins World, Santa Clara. And I'm happy to have as our guest here on DevOps TV, Patrick Hampton of Accenture.
Yes.
Welcome, Patrick.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So, Patrick, what's your role at Accenture?
I'm a DevOps manager.
Okay.
Currently working in Seattle on a project. Been there about 2 years, but I actually live in Dallas. So I kind of travel back and forth.
I've done that. I used to do Florida and Boulder, Colorado. So I pity you. It's good. It gets old though.
Yeah.
But that's great. So Dallas and Seattle are two great cities. But here's interesting, Patrick. You're a DevOps manager.
Yes.
And at Accenture.
Yes.
And, a lot of people think of Accenture, Anderson, Accenture, PwC, Big Four kind of companies. And, geez, what's a Big Four company doing with DevOps?
Yeah. So at Accenture, we really like to push the envelope with DevOps.
Mm-hmm.
When I first joined about 4 years ago, I joined under the test automation type of umbrella, but I knew a little bit about servers, a little bit about networking infrastructure, a little bit about development. So I knew I was kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, so to speak.
Yep. But that's actually a great skill set for DevOps, right?
Yeah. And just starting out with the testing, my first project, they wanted somebody to do test automation, but there was no infrastructure set up. There was no builds going on, nothing. And I started just moving up that chain to try to get to do my test automation.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing I know, I'm called a DevOps engineer, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, I've spoken, we spoke about off camera, I've spoken to a few people from Accenture and happen to know that Accenture actually has a booming DevOps practice, right? Worldwide, not just Seattle or Dallas or here, but all over the world. And just about every IT transformation that you guys are getting involved in now has some aspect of DevOps in it. Is that correct? Or?
Yeah, just about. So I'm actually part of that group as well, and I actually did a presentation to the internal group. I think we had about, almost 100, 150 people globally on that call, and we were talking about testing and DevOps and how the two can work together. Because I think some people think that testing is on this side, DevOps is on this side, but just
testing's part. I think part of that problem is, Patrick, is that a lot of QA people are resistant, let's call it, to DevOps. And it's a job security issue, right? Because they think somehow if I automate testing, because that DevOps crap's all about automation, right? Yeah. And if we automate testing, well, what do they need me for?
Yeah, exactly.
And so they dig their heels in, much like security people do and others. So how do you, so you're now Accenture, you're coming in as the efficiency experts, right? The consultants. Yeah. How do you make them overcome that?
So one thing is what we did as far as setting up our full DevOps practices and test automation as well is letting them know that the testing team, security team, that DevOps is coming. Whether you like it or not. Do you want to jump on the train or do you want to?
You want to miss the train?
Yeah, miss the train. So what we did was we had a few sessions where we actually taught them about DevOps and how it works and how it could benefit their lives. And so we had a great response for them learning about DevOps and how to write scripts, how to go into Jenkins and configure jobs and things like that.
Okay.
And so a lot of them, I think if you give them a step-by-step saying, hey, this is how you used to do it before, this is how we're doing it now, I think they really feel like important and included.
Right.
And I think that's what has to be done with DevOps, whether you're a developer, tester, security person, release manager, whoever.
I think you just hit it on the head.
You're included.
It is inclusive, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, it's all important because it's all part of the process now. It's not hanging out or hanging off right the edge or something. It's not an afterthought. It's built in to this pipeline of how we deliver software. And I think getting people past the hump of the boogeyman, if you will, right, to the reality of, hey man, you're more valuable than ever.
Yeah.
Is the key to success with that. But it's hard. You know what? People are resistant to change.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Patrick, give our audience an idea. I mean, Accenture's dealing with the largest companies in the world. I know you probably can't name names, but what kind of profiles of companies are you working with?
Anything from like telecom to um, some of the big technical companies here
Yeah,
in Silicon
Con
Valley
Valley.
as well. So yeah, 2 years ago I was at one of the biggest ones, I guess, in
Uh huh.
out here doing DevOps. So,
Really?
um, but yeah, anything from banking to federal to just about you name it.
Federal too?
Yeah, federal as well. We have a
Big
federal branch.
DevOps?
Yeah. On the federal side, I've gotten a little bit more involved on that side and talking to some of the people from that. But federal seems to be kind of slow,
Well, they
yeah,
usually are. Though, in certain things, they actually lead,
yeah,
and then in other things, they lag.
yeah,
But they're a world unto themselves. I have a lot of personal experience in prior life,
yeah,
dealing with the federal government
yeah.
and information assurance. But that's interesting stuff. Patrick, is this your first Jenkins World?
Yes, this is my first.
What's
Very
your
first.
impression?
I really, really like it. I mean, it's just amazing to see how many people know about Jenkins and DevOps, and
Yeah,
it's just like amazing. Like when I go back, um, to my client and stuff, there's very few people who know about it besides my team,
right.
basically. But it's nice to see other people facing the same issues that I face, and knowing that there's a community out here that can help
Yeah, but
support
help
me.
to
Yeah,
it. See, and I have the opposite. So, being the editor in chief of DevOps.com, I think everyone knows about
yeah,
DevOps, and of course, you know Jenkins.
yeah,
God, it was on the Silicon Valley TV show.
yeah,
But the fact of the matter is, you're right. Only about 25% at most of organizations today are doing DevOps or have some sort of DevOps patterns in their thing, and it's a big world out there, which is great for you. It's a lot of opportunity, right?
yeah, definitely.
All right, Patrick, we're about out of time. I want to thank you for joining us today. Continued success at Accenture. You think you'll be handling a new gig in Dallas soon, or?
I just go where the money takes me, so to
I
speak.
can't blame you with that, man.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick Hampton, Accenture DevOps Manager. Thanks for joining us on DevOps TV. This is Alan Schimmel of DevOps.com.